Hello, hello. How are you all doing today? Good? Wow, look at, I don't even have to get people to come over. I mean, there's still a few seats right here. Come on, I don't bite. All right, we'll get started here shortly. Just waiting on the last few folks coming up. Okay, well, let's get going. My name is Jimmy Mwangi. I'm a Senior Technology Product Manager, and I want to welcome you all, including the people joining us remote, to the final speaker series of 2023. It's been a good year, right? See some familiar faces. We've got a good one today. Again, focused on robotics. We've got a great panel that's going to be here today, and since this is the final one, we also added a little extra something special for this, so just stay tuned. But before we get going, as you know, we typically like to kick this off with trivia. So with that, you guys know the drill. I'm going to go through a set of questions, multiple choice. You know the answer, please raise your hand. You need to be seated up here, and there is prizes. So with that, we're going to kick this off with the first one. See if we get it out there. All right, cool. All right, so the adoption of robotics is expected to create how many job openings by 2025? A, 9.8, B, 10 million, C, 11.3 million, D, 12 million. First hand I saw right here.
12 million.
12 million it is. Good job. Okay, next one. What percentage of robot sales in 2027 are expected to be towards collaborative robots, or also as referenced as cobots, that work alongside humans? A, 23%, B, 35%, C, 37%, D, 43%. Gentleman with a Yankee hat. Oh man, come on, really? The Yankees in Seattle? All right, I saw your hand up. 43%? Close. Close. All right. Gentleman in the back. What was that? C is also close. Right here. 35% it is. All right, Shayla, right up here. Okay, next one. Which of the following industries is not likely to benefit from 5G? Is that up here? Sorry. Let's make sure I get you guys. All right, there we go. All right, which of the following industries is not likely to benefit from 5G and robotics in the near future? A, manufacturing, B, mining, C, ag, D, publishing. I think gentleman right here, I saw your hand up. D, publishing it is, huh? Guess there's still creativity and skill needed, huh? Human creativity and skill. Okay, next one. When using robots to support a construction work site, what is the percentage of reduced risk of workplace accidents? A, 15%, B, 20%, C, 25%, D, 30%. I think I saw a hand right up there. Yes, right, yeah. What was that? D is close. Okay, right here with the scarf, yep. 25% it is, C. Okay, next one. Over the last 20 years, how many robots have entered the workforce? A, 1.97 million, B, 2.25 million, C, 2.6 million, D, 3.1 million. Okay, all the way in the back, gentlemen. What was that? C is incorrect, right over here.
D,
3.1. 3.1 is also incorrect. Gentleman with a hat. B is correct. 2.25 million. Okay, final one. Okay, so How does 5G and related network technologies enable untethered robots to be deployed? A, operational from greater distances. B, greater precision. C, low latency. And D, all of the above. Saw you right there. Yep.
D, all of the above.
D, all of the above. There you go. Okay, thank you all for participating. So as I mentioned earlier, we've got a guest speaker today that's going to give us an overview on robotics. So with that, let's make sure I've got. So we're going to have Haitao Zhu, who is from Accenture, and today he's focused on edge computing and 5G intelligent. He's a 5G intelligent researcher at Accenture Labs, like I mentioned. He leads our design and development of intelligent 5G solutions. This involves optimizing the utilization of network resources, intelligently mapping network traffic, and architecture design of edge computing solutions. The goal of his work is to improve software services performance and efficiencies, and particularly with a focus on future industries and smart cities. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Haitao to the stage here.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm Haitao Zhu from Accenture Labs, and our research interest is aligned to the 5G intelligent solution and also edge computing. Today, I will tell you about our work towards a topic of the teleoperator robotics over 5G network. When we talk about teleoperator over robotics, which is a topic always draw attention for the industry, who are currently looking for solutions such as smart factories and also smart warehouse, and also infrastructure inspection such as pipelines inspection for the energy companies. So we always get asked from those people, like, are we able to using 5G technology on those solutions? And why should we using 5G technology on those solutions? And that's why we built this proof of concept to prove to answer those questions. So from a very high level of this concept, we trying to real-time video streaming the videos from the robot to the edge server. And from the edge server, we will analyze and also give the result and send signal to the robot over 5G network. And for the robot, once they receive the controlling signals, they will take action accordingly. That's on high level of the concept we're trying to prove. And for the detail, we used our private 5G network in our office at San Francisco. And this is end-to-end private 5G network as a test bed. And for the robot, the one we're using is a robot dog made by Unitree. And for this Unitree dog, which is not native by the 5G, so it don't have the 5G module into it, that's exactly the reason we start with embedded 5G module into the robot dog and start to provide a 5G network service on this robot dog. Successfully, we enabled 5G capability for this dog, and then we start on the next stage. So fortunately, our robotic team have been successfully done teleoperate this robot to streaming the video and also controlling this robot dog using a laptop or Wi-Fi network. So on our job, we will migrate the whole application to the edge server. Edge currently is embedded in this 5G network, and also switch all the application to an edge service. So once all the infrastructure is implemented, so our work start to change, the whole process flow. It start to begin with the robot dog will take the video stream from the vision camera, and then streaming the video to the edge server over 5G network. And once the video feed arrives in the edge service, the video will be analyzed by either teleoperator or a computing vision application service at the edge side. And then the decision will make and also controlling signal will send from the edge server to the robot over 5G network. And then the robot dog will take action accordingly. Here is a video my intern made, and that's how the result of the action.
We are now back in Robot Alley where I have the 5G server. As you can see here, we have enabled video streaming and remote controlling all over the 5G network to the robot dog. If I come over here, we can walk the dog forward. We can see that the obstacle is getting closer, and I'm able to move the dog around the obstacle. Uh-oh, wrong way. And I have the dog continue going straight.
Yep, here is a video. So we answered the first question. We are able to introduce a 5G technology on the teleoperated robotic solution. And also, for make this solution work, there are three critical requirements need to meet. First is low latency for the controlling signals. And secondly is high bandwidth for the video streaming signals on the uplink side. And thirdly, it requires very stable network to guarantee no package losing and also no package dropping. For the 5G technology, it provides all the three promises, and that's exactly the reason we should be using 5G technology on those kind of solutions. But also, we noticed one, in the concept, this is very easy to prove, but in reality, things will be a little bit different. In our work, our single robot dog can occupy the whole network resource of our private 5G network. For the industry, for smart factories, it always comes with hundreds and thousands of the IoT devices or vision cameras and also IoT sensors, and also even a robotic fleet. Once the video streaming and also big data transformation start to occupy the network resource, and the latency will start to yank up, and the low latency requirement will definitely not meet. That's exactly the reason we have been working on a solution called Mobile Edge Computing Intelligent Agent. For this kind of intelligent agent, it will dynamically allocate a network resource, monitoring current network activities, and assign the network resource to the dedicated area, and significantly improve the performance of the applications and improve the user experience. And in this kind of use case, our intelligent solution, in our intelligent agent, it slices a portion of the network resource, which we call it URLLC channel, and which is dedicated for the controlling signal for this robotic system. So no matter how big the occupation of the video streaming and data transformation, the portion of this network resource is preserved for the controlling signal only. And that's exactly the point for the 5G technology. It's programmable, and that's exactly the value to show how the 5G technology could significantly improve the robotic use cases in the 5G technology. And at the very last of my presentation, I will show you our currently ongoing project. This is we're trying to introduce in our 5G technology into a more complex robotic system. In this robotic system, it includes two things, is shadow hand and also haptics gloves. In this kind of solutions, when you're using the haptic gloves to moving and make a trajectory and the robot dog and no, not robot dog anymore. So it's a robot hand and the robot arm will make the exactly accurate movement, same as your action with a glove on. And also all the pressures and also all the feedback will feedback to your hand too. My point to giving here is people always thinking, okay, so it's not so difficult to introduce the 5G technology to the robotics solutions. It's only simply remove, like a switch from the Wi-Fi to the 5G, and your job is done. In reality, that's not true. As the complexity of the robotic system start to increase, and the difficult and the challenge for you to introduce a 5G technology to this kind of solution will be significantly harder. And that's my presentation. Thank you again for having me today.
All right, hopefully you all found that as insightful as I did. So a couple things here. If you haven't had a chance, we do have a couple showcases. One is from Numerous. They're doing some great stuff around deploying basically automated AI and features that you can quickly deploy into a ready-made solution. And then we also have Artleak, who has a robotic barista. So leveraging computer vision AI as well. So check them out. I think they're serving coffee, I think hot chocolate. I don't think anything spiked, but check them out, okay? All right, so with that, we're going to get the show going here with a quick sizzle.
Our 5G Hub Speaker Series on robotics, making this our 12th and final session for 2023. I can't believe we're in December and rounding out an incredible year. But before we celebrate, we are going to discuss the opportunities for robotics and the benefits with 5G connectivity. The current state of robotics is rapidly evolving, with robotics becoming increasingly sophisticated, capable, and affordable for everyday operations. 5G-enabled robotic systems will help address human labor shortages by automating manual jobs, improve productivity by complementing the workforce with robotic labor, and increase safety by deploying remote, untethered robotic systems in dangerous, inaccessible environments. In the opening presentation, Haitao shared a few examples of these exciting use cases and the benefits when combining 5G and edge computing. And today, our panelists are going to share their insights and learnings on the value of advancing robotics and the required technology to support them. So please join me in welcoming our panelists out on stage. Welcome. Welcome. All right. So excited to have you guys. Thanks again for joining. And you guys know I'm going to start off here with some introduction to welcome our panelists. So first we have Ira Renfrew, Chief Product Officer at Outrider. With nearly 10 years of robotic experience, Ira has helped develop and deploy robotic solutions across multiple companies with great success. In his current role at Outrider, Ira focuses on defining and developing scalable, generalizable solutions for yard automation, as well as deepening Outrider's intellectual property moat. He is passionate about bringing autonomous systems into everyday life. Welcome, Ira. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right. Next, we have Meng Wang, co-founder and CEO at Artly, with more than 30 US patents in AI. Meng is a seasoned entrepreneur and innovator, having been the former CTO of Orbius Inc. and then a principal scientist at AWS AI. His dedication to excellence and passion for creating products that make a difference have earned him a reputation as a visionary leader in the tech and coffee industry. Welcome, Meng. Thanks for joining. All right, and next we have Starr Corbin, VP of Enterprise Application Engineering at Diligent Robotics. With nearly 20 years directing technology transformation, Starr has repeated track record for helping organizations advance from a vision through strategy and finally delivering successful execution. With this track record, she currently manages a growing organization at Diligent Robotics that encompasses IT security, robot operations, platform engineering, software engineering, and field application support. Thanks for joining, Starr. And then excited to welcome Haitao back on stage as well. All right, so you guys know the drill. I'm going to start off and ask our panelists some questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the folks in the room here and those joining us remotely, so please put your questions into the chat. So to start things off, I would love to give each of you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your company, your use case for robotics, and specifically the opportunity you see when we talk about 5G connectivity. Ira?
Sure. Thanks, Erin. Yeah, at Outrider, we're focused on making the supply chain safer and more sustainable, while also alleviating labor shortages and reducing labor costs that have been rising because of those shortages. We do that with a subscription-based service that provides autonomy. And we create autonomous trucks that move trailers around facilities such as distribution centers, ports, and factories. When I think about connectivity, I think about our use cases really centered in data, and there are a couple of them. So one is real-time sending information between the robot and our cloud, telematics, commands to the robots, status updates. Another use case is real-time perception and path planning to navigate our way through the yard. A third is asynchronous transfer of sensor data that the robot collects back to our facilities to assist with debugging and performance metrics. And then a final use case is localization. It's really important for a robot to know where it is in the world, so then it can plan a path for where it wants to be. And so for each of those use cases, we really think about what is the right connectivity solution for them. You know, in some cases, the answer is, well, we're just going to keep the data on the truck and do the work on the truck. In other cases, we rely on cellular networks. And in other cases, we have relied on what we've called the sneaker net, which is humans bringing drives back to our facility loaded with terabytes of data, which obviously is not optimal in the long term. So I think from our point of view, when we think about 5G, you know, the promise of something that's high bandwidth, low latency to enable many of those use cases is really appealing and something that we want to make more and more use of over time.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for sharing, and I look forward to diving deeper into those use cases here shortly. All right, Meng.
Hi, I'm Meng Wang, co-founder and CEO of Artly. At Artly, we build barista robots that can make specialty coffee. The way how we do it is we let the robot to learn from real human baristas and pay attention to each detail, and then we can bring the robots to everywhere in the world. The robot uses the camera as the primary sensor to look at things on the table, identify and localize all the objects and equipment on the table, and operate those tools and equipment just like a human barista. They use deep learning to achieve all of this. So we deploy AI accelerators at the edge and also on the cloud. And as for connectivity, since AI is the primary tools to guide the robots to achieve those tasks, the connectivity is critical. And also, the connectivity to the internet also enable the robots to have live conversation with the customer, and enable payments in places where the landline is not available. So yeah, it's very critical for our business.
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, and also, I forgot to mention that we brought a demo robot unit here so that everyone can see how we achieve the authentic specialty coffee experience with the robot.
Yes, it's an excellent demo and excellent coffee. Thank you. Starr.
So hello, everyone. Starr Corbin. So the star of Diligent Robotics is Moxie the robot. And so you'll find Moxie in healthcare systems across the US where we have deployed a fleet of robots. And essentially Moxie's service is to support nurses and clinical staff in hospitals. And Moxie is a point-to-point delivery robot. So when you think about, we want our nurses to have more face time with their patients. And so if Moxie is the one actually running to the pharmacy, picking up necessary supplies, you can imagine in the middle of COVID, delivering and picking up and distributing PPE was really important. But the more that Moxie is doing that, the less is that the nurses and clinical staff have to do that and therefore inherently have more face time with their patients. And so when you look at that model where connectivity, especially 5G connectivity and the capabilities that it can provide Moxie with is very much like Ira was saying, we have a very similar use case and need where, at the end of the day, we want Moxie to be able to localize immediately when it's on a new floor at a hospital. So our robot has the ability to badge scan and button push in and out of doors, as well as autonomously take elevators. So when you imagine the connectivity requirements to do that, and it is absolutely key, especially as Moxie is running tasks, to have that constant network connectivity to localize as quickly as possible and to deliver on those tasks as quickly as possible. So that's also related. The other use case is also similar in terms of remote management. We remotely monitor our robotic fleet 24/7. And so hospitals don't sleep, and so neither does Diligent in our remote monitoring capabilities and our requirements. And so having real-time streaming and availability of that video is absolutely paramount in terms of the remote monitoring and capabilities of what that allows us to do to safely monitor the robot from afar.
Great. Thanks, Starr.
Yeah. So as I said before, so I'm from as Accenture Labs, we do in both robotic in research and also 5G research too. So for our robotic team, we currently we are serving for the modern industry, such as smart factories, smart warehouse, and even for smart cities. So our robotic team always line in like a research topic, such as using several different technologies, such as like a teleoperate robotics, and also for the warehouse management, like a big robotic fleet management. And even we provide digital twins and also dynamic programming, the dynamic designing technology to apply to solve the issue, the problem of the current industry have. It's not difficult for us to eventually notice how 5G technology could increase in the capability and for the robotic solutions, and also how the artificial intelligence solution always could utilize the 5G technology capability to improve the performance and also capability for the robotic system too.
Yeah. Great, thank you. So I love that we have just a variety of great use cases for robotics, and I think you all articulated very well the benefits of 5G. But this isn't just a nice to have, if I understand kind of your product evolution. I mean, this is a requirement. Can you maybe elaborate or share a little bit about your current connectivity solution today and the challenges that you have? Anybody would ever like to start?
Sure, I'll start off. So today, Moxie has a router located inside its torso. It's a 4G capable router. We are, when a new robot arrives on the site, we are Wi-Fi first, meaning we do connect to the hospital's Wi-Fi. And that routing device has the ability to switch over to LTE when Wi-Fi is spotty, which is, if anyone's been in the hospital, if you get into an elevator, it'd be a little bit difficult. And so, having the 5G capability is really, really going to be crucial to unlocking potential edge computing cases that we are really looking to explore, especially as we start to utilize more LLMs, more LVMs to manage the perception of our robots. So you can imagine our robot takes an elevator, right? It has to be able to perceive the button correctly, the up and down button. It has to perceive what floor it's on. It has to be able to navigate appropriately and go to the right location, right? And so all of those perception capabilities to be able to navigate into the elevator, perceive its surroundings appropriately, has to be as real time as possible. And so if Wi-Fi is low, the ability to switch over to LTE and that to be a seamless transition, while also allowing our remote teams that are monitoring those robots to be able to do that in real time is absolutely crucial. So, today, if you look at our limitations in terms of what we can process on the robot versus having to go out into our cloud infrastructure. Today that 4G capability with some carriers that we're working with, not necessarily T-Mobile, but some other carriers that we're working with, we're throttled at about 25, maybe 50 megabits per second on 4G, right? Whereas we look at on the 5G level, the capabilities are 20 gig, right? And so we go from a 1-lane highway to a 6-lane highway in this case. And that really unlocks a lot of future potential for our robot to better serve our customers.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I alluded to it before, but I've seen it on a couple of robotics development efforts where initially you want your dev teams to have as much data as possible about the robot. And so, you build these robots that generate just incredible amounts of data. And then you get into this sneaker net world where you're pulling drives out of robots, bringing them back. Got to keep them coordinated. Somebody forgets to upload them. It's just a very manual process. And eventually you get to the point where you need to kind of wean yourself off of that data and start being more frugal on it with it and moving over to cellular. And so I think 5G offers the promise of maybe not having to do quite as much weaning. With higher bandwidth, you could bring more data back, which is really interesting. Sort of similar to what you were saying about having that 6-lane highway. That's really helpful. We don't do any teledriving, but if you teledrive, then I think the latency that 5G offers is really appealing to make sure that you're maintaining safety while remotely moving a robot.
So for our business, the connectivity is very crucial because we have our coffee shops in very high traffic locations like shopping malls, and especially during the holiday seasons, there are so many people in the shopping mall, and since we use the cellular connections, sometimes the bandwidth is very low. That's why we have redundant internet connections. For example, we use the mall Wi-Fi, and of course we use T-Mobile 5G as a backup. But even so, during holiday seasons, there are still some instances the bandwidth reduced to a very low speed. So on our robot side, we had to program smartly. So that when the bandwidth is impacted, we have to enter in a low bandwidth mode. For example, we will stop uploading video streams, and we will prioritize high priority tasks like transaction and the robot commands. So I think in the future, if we can have a more reliable 5G technology like the private LTE, it will be make our operation much reliable and robust.
So maybe in addition to that, I guess over here to T-Mobile, what can we do, and I guess the larger technology ecosystem, to help accelerate your evolution with 5G? What are some of the obstacles that you guys are facing? Any?
I would say for us, it's having the test facilities to do that, right? Yeah. I mentioned earlier, we can't just upgrade the routers, slap it back into the robot, and now all of a sudden it's operating in 5G, right? And so we're actually in the talks of doing a proof of concept with T-Mobile to really study, okay, what does that mean for localization, right? And the ability to localize. How does that upgrade to 5G affect our ability to stream video back to our operations center, which is located in Austin, Texas, where we build and manufacture the robot. And so really, being able to partner with T-Mobile is going to allow us to have those test capabilities and facilities. Also look at the placement of the router within the robot, right? Is there more optimal placement of that router and switching capabilities? And I think we could very well see through that partnership, see a future where we are LTE first instead of Wi-Fi, right? Where we can immediately roll out our robot to a new site and we are running purely on LTE and we can map the floor in a fraction of the time, right? We can enable all of the capabilities in the robot and hit the ground running. And that'll be like, as a startup, having that capability to a test facility and stuff is really impactful and tremendous to our research and development capabilities.
Excellent. I look forward to working with you.
I think on our side, and I saw this both in my work at Amazon and now at Outrider, expanding the millimeter wave coverage would be incredibly beneficial because I think that's where that high bandwidth benefit really comes in. But we've also had some conversations this afternoon about private networks and sort of more bespoke solutions that could meet the same need. Putting on my consumer robotics hat from my iRobot days, anything to make it easy for the product manager to say yes to, yeah, we should put a cellular radio rather than Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Certainly makes it easy. I have a memory of spending an hour outside in the rain and temperatures kind of like today, trying to get a Bluetooth radio to work. That wasn't fun. I certainly would have appreciated replacing that with a dependable cellular radio.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing, I guess, kind of your specific examples with your organizations. We'd like to get your feedback kind of more across the larger vertical of robotics. So it says human labor costs have been growing nearly 12% annually in the past decade due to a variety of reasons, including cost of living, collective bargaining, and inflation pressures. Companies are soon going to be confronted with a decision to employ a human versus a robot for a specific manual task. What should those companies consider when making that decision? What are your thoughts on that? Maybe, Haitao, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I think that's much more towards like how the robotic could, for the robotic is not replacing the manpower like the workers. It's much more towards like how the robotic solutions could assist and help the worker to do the job better. That's exactly the same situation for the like a nursery. Like its assistant nurse is not like replacing the nurse. For a lot of industries, when they come to a Accenture lab, especially approaching to this kind of questions, it's not like, okay, we're going to fire this portion of people and replace them with a robot. It's much more towards like, okay, we're going to get this robotic fleet to do assistant and help people to get more efficient in this kind of scenario. I think, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, it says here, restaurants have become an interesting test bed for robotic innovations, especially as many restaurants today still cannot hire enough staff for locations. Chipotle, for example, recently announced they'll be testing a new robotic solution to make burrito bowls and salads to keep up with their digital orders. So you take a company like Chipotle, and how do they start that transition or start introducing robots to assist? Thoughts on that, maybe, Meng?
Yeah, so the reason why we start early is because that we have a lot of friends who own especially coffee shops, and they constantly complain to us how hard to maintain, hire a good barista. And with the background of robotic AI, and we thought, hey, we can help because you can teach the robot one time and it will never forget. I think when we talk about using the robot to automate certain tasks, one critical point is that we want to automate, but we don't want to reduce the quality of the service. So that's why we start with copying the exact actions of a human barista. We do not want to simplify or invent. We don't want to create a new process to make a traditional drink like coffee. We just want to bring the exact same experience to more people, and with the power of a robot and AI. Yeah, because we know that we do not have so we know that the current solution, which is powered by a human, is not, it will never scale because you have to maintain a good barista, and you have to teach them multiple months, and the turnover rate is very high, and the baristas are not very high-paying jobs. Yeah, it's very hard to maintain that workforce for laborers with skill.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that there's so many more combinations of how you can get your coffee, right?
Yeah.
So many options too. So I think it just, you want to customize, you want it to be an experience, and you want it to be top quality.
Yeah.
And I think obviously with the robotics coupled with AI capabilities,
yeah,
you can do a lot.
Yeah, it can be better than any human baristas in the future, because they can remember your customization, can remember all the techniques of all the baristas in the world. Yeah. It's just like a recording machine that can record the best singers in the world and bring that sound, that voice to anywhere in the world. Before, actually, there's no such platform or such technology. So we want to create that.
Yeah. Excellent.
Haitao's comments about coffee shop owners complaining about hiring resonates with me. We have one customer where one of our strongest internal champions on the customer side is actually the HR department, because they're so tired of trying to hire for drivers that then end up cycling through very quickly. But when I think about what do you need to consider when deciding whether to employ a robot or a human, I mean, Haitao, I think you nailed it in terms of maybe not thinking about it as either or, but both. I think there's sort of three questions I have in mind. One is, can the robot do enough work to justify its place? I've seen a number of times where people are like, oh, we can make a robot for that. And then when you really sort of think through all the processes that go into sort of that business or what happens, you realize that there are a lot of human touches that that robot would not automate. And so you actually add cost rather than reduce cost. Another one is, can a robot do it better than a human? There are some tasks where robots are just really good at repeatable, precise movements. And I think you guys are trying to maintain that quality of a very kind of sophisticated human motion, but I think your robots do it very well. And then the third thing is probably slipping my mind right now, which always happens.
Yeah. That's okay. You can bring it up later.
Yeah, thanks.
Starr, maybe you can share. I mean, bringing in robots into a hospital, that can be it's probably challenging to get people comfortable with that.
It definitely can, I think, because there is this perception of, oh, we're bringing in a robot to replace the nurse. And first and foremost, Moxie is not going to ever replace our amazing and valuable nurses and clinical staff and the staff that serve our patients. Moxie is absolutely there as a healthcare companion, as a support system for nurses and clinical staff, especially as we look at the nursing shortages that we are seeing. And a lot of our hospital partners would rather have a robot running around the hospital delivering IV pumps, or delivering items from the lab, from the pharmacy, or from central supply. They'd rather have a robot doing that than a nurse, right? The nurse is trained to take care of patients, and that is what we are there to do, is to enable more of that. And so as soon as we make sure that that message is clear and it's crafted as such, that we are not here to replace, but we are here to enable and to foster a better environment, that collaborative environment like you're talking to. We're not replacing one person over another. We're allowing our nurses to really spend their valuable, finite time with the people and the things that matter most, and which is their patients.
Okay. And are they pretty quick or receptive to that?
Usually we have, obviously, because now we've got, our targets were at the end of the year to exceed 100 robots in the field, and we have met and we're exceeding that target. So there is definitely a foundation there. We've got robots across multiple healthcare systems in the US, but there is that concern, right, where, well, what is this robot coming to do? And then not just, okay, that's the initial business model, well, what are you looking to grow into? And it's like, we're here to still be a delivery robot at the end of the day, right? That is our continued messaging. And so really, we focus, again, more on the messaging of how can we integrate Moxie into some of these existing workflows, right, to enhance those workflows, not to replace the people, necessarily doing them.
Great, thank you. So next question, and then I'm going to turn it over to the audience, so you guys get your questions ready. So outside of the business benefits, robotic systems could also be key in improving worker safety conditions. Already, robots are operating tasks that previously risked injury from humans. 25% decrease in risk of workplace accidents when robots were used to support construction sites. So what are some of the most promising new robotic technologies available for improving workplace safety? And maybe, Ira, I think you've got probably one of the best use cases.
Sure. Yeah. Safety is a major part of what we're doing. I think the first thing is removing the human from the action. That is inherently safer. So in our case, by removing the drivers from the cab of the truck, we eliminate the risk that they trip and fall off the truck while trying to get on or off and injure themselves. We also eliminate the risk that they're out on the facility when somebody's driving by, might be careless and might hit them. I think the other big thing that we think a lot about, at least, is just sort of modern perception systems, the ability to identify that there are humans or other actors in the vicinity of the robot and then behave in a safe way, whether that's coming to a stop or doing some other kind of behavior modification to be safe. I think that that's the other way that you bring safety into these environments as you're deploying autonomous systems. I think it's, for me personally, really exciting to see robots getting out of the cage. For a long time, the manufacturing robots have been sort of penned up. But I think when we think about robots as from a societal point of view, like our image of them is roaming around amongst us, right? And so it's really exciting to see that come to life, but it needs to be done safely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Haitao, anything you could maybe share from what you've been seeing in the labs?
Yes, I'm ready for this moment. So, so for our robot, so for the human robotic interactions, that's like a big chunk of the research in the Accenture lab too. And so I definitely can see my robotic team keep increasing the sensors and the IoT devices on their robotic system. So year by year, just so many sensors add more into it. So I had to see like a artificial intelligence solution and also the IoT technology, like a new type of sensors, start to increasing the safety of the human robotic interactions. And also for the 5G technology introduced into the robotic solutions, the low latency start to provide a significant good chunk of this safety procedure too. And in our Houston office, we even have a use case that a 5G-enabled drill, so once it notices a human hand is close to the drill bit, everything gonna stop. That's exactly the good chunk of the use cases for the 5G too. So for the short answer of this is like IoT solutions, artificial intelligence solutions, and also 5G technology combined together is significantly improved the safety of the human and also robotic relationship.
Thank you. All right, do we have questions from the audience? Yes, please step on up to the mic.
So you mentioned all the benefits, and those are great. We probably want to get there faster. How do we do that? How do you deploy more robots? Is it on the engineering side? Is it some of the customer pushback? How do you break past those challenges?
Who wants to take that one?
I would think that, so that is definitely our goal, is to get robots out there, faster, quicker, safer at the end of the day. So first and foremost, I mentioned before, we develop and we manufacture our robots in-house in Austin. And so there's supply chain. It usually is one of the barriers to getting robots out the door faster. But the other piece is very much making sure that we are addressing safety concerns, right? That is a core part of our HRI, human robotic interaction capabilities, is that our robot is navigating through a hospital. Those are dynamically moving obstacles, people, patient beds. It's got to be able to go through a door safely, and so our robot is, so when we are talking to a new customer and they're saying, okay, great, Moxie can do all these things, we've got all these use cases, how is Moxie safe, right? And so that is where, we have a duty to make sure that we are equipping the robot with the latest LiDAR and sensor technology, that we are leveraging, that's why one of the large investments that we do want to make in 5G is, the ability to enhance our perception systems, right? LLMs, LVMs, right? To perceive the surroundings in a safe and in a very safe way. And I think the other pieces too is our clients will say, well, what types of safety detection mechanisms do you have? And so we're constantly rolling out new features, stare detection, for example, right? Making sure that the robot has fallback plans if someone is standing in a particular area in the elevator that it would normally be designated to go. We also make sure that we have what we call MOXIE spots throughout the hospital. So when we map a hospital floor, we have dedicated spot points where the robot will go to that's safe, that we know it's not going to be in a patient's way if it's doing a delivery. And so a lot of our presentation is really going through a lot of those safety features that are inherently built into the robot and that we're always continuously improving upon.
When I think about more robots in the world, first, I think the robotics industry has really benefited first by the smartphone industry and now by the autonomous vehicle industry that's brought component costs down and really enabled solutions that previously weren't possible, which is super exciting. I think you mentioned HRI, human-robot interaction, maybe broadening it a little bit, but just sort of user experience and really sweating that. I think robots can be scary. And I think for teams that are building robots, I really think it's important to take the responsibility of building robots that represent the future that all of us want to live in and feel excited about, not robots that might be from sci-fi scary movies, is really important. And then safety is a big piece of that sort of user experience, making sure that they are safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, so for a lot of people based at Accenture looking for the robotic solutions, we notice several things. Is people always start to ask, like at the very end, people ask one question is, okay, how much are you going to able for us to deploy it? And the price always drive people away. So the cost efficiency is always a big chunk of consideration in the business. So that's exactly the reason part of us start to notice the 5G, the value of the 5G. Because people always thinking like, okay, so they want to throw like LLM, computer vision, so many big features into the robot, but they don't want to pay this kind of price. And that's exactly the reason. So when we're doing the research on the 5G, we noticed we could shift the computing power from the robotic to the edge side of the 5G network. And that's exactly a big factor could significantly reduce the cost of manufacture a the whole robotic system with like a much lower price, but have like a more capability to do various jobs. Yeah.
Point. Thanks, Haitao. I believe we have a question online, Jimmy.
Yeah, we do. Actually, we have a couple. So this is specifically for Haitao. I'm assuming this is from your presentation. So this comes from Frank. So the first question is, was the 5G spectrum CBRS or licensed spectrum?
Yeah, so actually the short answer is both. So for us, it depends on use case and scenario, and we do the licensed spectrum too. And for us, when we're doing like a much more universal like experiment, of course it's CBRS.
Okay. And then the second part of this is, what was the latency, jitter, and packet loss parameters used for successful outcome?
For success, what's the last part?
For the successful outcome.
Lockdown?
Outcome.
For successful, it's still, this part of the question is also depends.
Yeah.
So for different use cases, it always have like a different requirement for the latencies and also for the jitters. And for us, for the specific use case for the robot dog is quite fault tolerance on this part. So our latency right now, the round latency is almost like 18 milliseconds. That's part of like a current like specific data in my mind. For the detail, yeah, I cannot remember that, but it's totally in the accepted range.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jimmy. Next question.
Hi guys, thanks. It's very interesting, and kind of the one thing that comes to mind, it's industry's always been the energy hog, and people don't realize that. And we're going for electric cars because that's really the big pollutants, but that's not the case. But now we have electric cars, electric bikes, electric everything, and we're eating up more and more batteries. And then you want to uncage the robots, which is great, but how do you power this industry now wirelessly? And where is kind of the happy medium? I mean, factories are great. Yard is easy to go park a truck, but you still need a battery. Like, how do you make sure the industry doesn't eat up the resources for the rest of the use cases of batteries and untethered technology?
Yeah, that's a great question. Last week I was at a workshop on the sort of roadmap for U.S. robotics into the future, and we were talking about like what are the enabling technologies that we need for robotics to really grow. One was manipulation, which is sort of robots interacting with physical objects. We have some good examples on the coffee robot over there. The other one was battery technology, and I think this is shared across a number of industries, but it is a limiting factor right now in terms of the materials to make the batteries, in terms of the energy capacity of those batteries. So I maybe don't have an answer to your question other than to say, like, we need to have, as a country and as a sort of human society globally, we need to have innovation in the area of batteries to really enable this more electrified future.
Yes, please, step up to the mic.
Hello, my name is Jeremy. Thank you guys for being here. It's just a great discussion. My question is really around, similar to what we've been talking about, but robotic ethics. One of the things that we have at T-Mobile is a project called Project 10 Million, where we recognize that there is a digital divide between some of those that are the divide that technology can create, and also the divide that technology can help bridge. When we think about the future and what currently is happening, as well as the future, when we think about the socioeconomic divide that's happening in this country and around the world, do we think robotics can help bridge that divide? Or would we even think about how we would design robots today to better help people who may be in the South, in poor areas of our country, or may have, trouble getting to some of the types of technology that we're talking about today?
Great question.
One of the core values at Diligent is do the most good. And one of the things that we really enjoy about having our robot and hospital systems and being around people from all walks of life is really being able to showcase a robot that really, the whole purpose is to do the most good. And so when we start talking about the human-robotic interaction piece, there's a reason why our robot looks like a cute robot, right? When our robot has the ability to recognize a child and to do heart eyes and wave and meep, right? And so we like to say that not only are we doing our part to serve, hospital systems and nurses and clinical staff, but the robot is doing the most good and showing how it can be an enabler. It can be an assistant, it can help. And also, with the key focus where it looks sweet and cute and non-threatening. And I know, as a woman in this industry, the fact that our two co-founders are women, right? We're showing that, working in a robotics company, right? No matter your gender, your background, et cetera, that is possible. And so we're just really, really proud of the exposure that our robot has had, and the fact that, people look at our company and the makeup of that company, and they can see themselves as part of that is really important to us.
I want to say a fantastic question. Thank you. I think there's maybe two ways that I think about it. One is, generally new technologies start off expensive and then come down the cost curve. And so if we, I think a lot about computing, right? If you go back, supercomputers, like only governments had them. And now, many people have, a computer in their pocket with their smartphone. And we've seen that in developing countries as well, right? It's, price points have come down. It's unlocked tons of opportunity. So I think, there's long-term potential for that with robotics. I also get really excited about the robotic solutions that are really about solving problems that are commonly shared and sometimes actually felt more heavily by some. But some of the sort of environmental robotic solutions, trying to clean up the oceans, right? We all benefit from that. And I think those are solutions that can be deployed more immediately that do bring a benefit globally. But it's a fantastic question. I think it's a question that we have to keep asking ourselves within robotics and within tech generally, is how do we make sure the benefits are spread as broadly as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Great, next question.
Hi, my name is Matthew. I noticed you guys are talking a lot about how robots interact with humans and everything. This question is mostly directed towards Artly. I know you guys do direct transactions with humans, so I was wondering how you guys deal with troublesome people, or how everyone manages around that.
Can you repeat your question?
Oh, so
trouble.
Maybe challenging
Like bad
customers.
actors.
Challenging customers.
that's-
They say, I
okay.
don't like my coffee. How do you manage through that?
Yeah, in most of our stores, we do have a human store staff there to provide customer service. If in some challenging scenarios there where the robot cannot satisfy the customer's need, the human store staff will step in and help the customer. We think that the human touch is necessary for coffee shops, so that's why we always have a coffee ambassador in our coffee shops. But gradually, we will add more intelligence to the robot by integrating the large language models directly into the robot, so that it can understand the request from the customers better and respond accordingly.
Do you have a feedback loop where, when the store staff are engaged to help with a situation, that you have some way of feeding that back into the development team so that they might think about how they could change the robot to prevent that in the future?
Oh, yes. The dev team is constantly in sync with our store staff. There are a long list of feature requests for them to improve the operation flow in the store. We are adding more and more features to the robot so that it can be more context aware. For example, if the store staff stepped in and helped to finish the drink, the robot knows that, hey, the drink is already done. I need to move on to the next step. Yeah, so it'll be more and more smarter like this.
Always learning. Okay, great. Next question.
Hi, I'm Ryan James, CEO of Doppel Technologies. We're improving access to care through telerobotic procedures, and 5G is really exciting to us, and so what you all have done with your companies is really inspirational, and sets an awesome example. One of the elements on our road ahead is FDA clearance. But sort of more broadly, there are regulations that could potentially sort of slow down things that we all want to do. And so I was wondering, really interested in hearing from you, Starr, in terms of Diligent, but really everyone up here. What are some of the regulatory challenges that you either have experienced or see on your path ahead that could potentially sort of hinder progress? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So first and foremost, because we're in hospital systems, HIPAA compliance and SOC 2 Type 2 security audit compliance were first and foremost. And so HIPAA compliance is required in our cloud infrastructure, and how, if we don't today, if we were to manage patient health information, et cetera. The SOC 2 Type 2, we actually just earned audit compliance as of earlier this week. It's been a 2-year journey. So it was the HIPAA regulation on top of the security regulation requirements. And the next, and then of course, we also have several robots in the University of Texas healthcare system. And so making sure that we pass their TexRamp certification is another big hurdle for us. And then next, we are pivoting over to FCC certification and exploring that as well for all of our hardware and robotic components too. So to your point, there's definitely, it's a hill to climb, but in starting a new company, it's not impossible. I like to believe we're a reflection of that, and just finding really great partners that understand what it's like to work with a startup has really been paramount in the success of that for us.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next.
I can speak to safety quickly. One of the challenges I've had both at Outrider and previously is because robotics is evolving so quickly, sometimes there are not standards that apply to the use case that you have. This was true for delivery robots. It's true for the use case we have moving trailers around. And so one of the challenges is to find the appropriate reference standards that might be for a different, sort of adjacent domain and apply them, but to really, it's tough to blaze the path of, defining what is safe. I've found much easier when you have existing standards, as I did in my work at iRobot, where it's very clear what bar you need to meet, what tests you need to run. And so I think that's one of the challenges that many of these new robotic applications face, is just that ambiguity in terms of standards. Yeah.
Thanks, Ira. All right, next question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the talk. And I'm Sumedh. I'm from the University of Washington's Global Innovation Exchange, which is just down the road. So I heard about CBRS right now, just one question about it, and then I was just wondering how robotic applications are going to be, what sort of network infrastructure are they going to be using in the future? Will they be using the private 5G? And what sort of applications would be using the public 5G? So that is something I wanted to know of.
Haitao, you want to start with that?
Well, to be honest, if it's possible, I hope all the robots are going to work on the millimeter wave. So yeah, holds like a lowest latency and also highest potential. But the truth is, it depends on the use cases. So many different use cases using on the different frequencies, different bandwidths. And for for the robot using on the public network, that's a different story compared with the private 5G network too. So for the a majority of the topic is much more towards the private network area, because anything beyond the 5G network gateway is a different story. So inside of it, so we always can do the optimization, and also I think that's the current stage we are working on. And of course, for the public 5G network, always hold the potential too.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way you could also elaborate the applications for the private networks and the public networks too?
Excuse me?
Could you elaborate some applications to maybe what applications could use public 5G networks?
Oh yes, of course. There are so many use cases. But for robotic, that might be a little limited. But for autonomous driving, and especially for the safety, like a smart city, a topic, it always have so many considerations, especially for pedestrian safety, how you could make sure all people going to be safe, and especially for the robot and even the cars driving by. So that's a big research area too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you all for being here tonight. I too am from UW, so go Dogs. But I'm also a Kook, so go Kooks. My question is really around what does partnership with small business look like? So you're a startup, your team members as a startup, and I think someone from the stage mentioned they are in potential collaboration with T-Mobile. So as you think about those relationships, what does it look like for small businesses? Because I could imagine when you employ or deploy 5G, the task gets better, things get safer, and then the potential of a small business being that collaborator may not be needed. So if we're looking 5, 10, 15 years down the road, how do you think about small businesses to come into this field, and if not come into this field, transition from where they are when their industry has been drastically interrupted because of robotics and 5G?
Question. Let's see. Haitao, do you want to start with that one?
Okay, yeah, I will start with that one then. So first, normally for small business, we always consider like a limited resource and also like a low standard for starting everything up. And we have been done several research, like it's ongoing now, it's on the topic, it's in the discussion. It's like a network co-sharing, like a public to private network co-sharing and the private to private 5G network co-sharing. So answer like the portion of like what you're thinking is, so maybe that's like a individual of the small business might not like handle the like a Skype of the like a whole big private 5G network. But maybe several like a small business could share like a whole platform of a single private 5G network, and eventually utilize all the potentials and promise made by the 5G network.
And I think just to add to that too, I think it goes back to the use cases for those small businesses. And I think, you know, we were in the early days of this technology, and it's great again to have you guys leading this and helping these new innovations come to life. And I think we have to get to a point where small businesses, they can afford to do this. And it may, you know, I think there's other options besides private network too. We talked a little bit earlier about 5GSA. And so whether it's T-Mobile's macro network or having other kind of network capabilities, right, that we can leverage, again, that ultimately support these use cases that, you know, enable these businesses, small or big, to be successful. I mean, that's where we need to get to. So it's a great question. All right, next question. I think we have time for one more.
Thank you so much. Here's the question. When you're doing a wonderful conversation on the fact that we're trying to replace labor and consistency, in the ag industry, we have tried a lot. This is our second intent in history of automatization and robots. But huge labor, huge machinery harvesting strawberries only in certain places of the world, because not the whole world is landscaped the same way. But when they do the analysis of labor, my question to you all is, do you have labor experts to present to your customers or to yourselves how much you're going to replace that machine or robot for the person or people that are going to be managing that, and on the curve to recoup for the customers or the people? So do you have experts on labor in your teams, or how do you do that? Or is it just, we're going to do a robot and figure it out?
We absolutely partner with our customers where, you know, first and foremost, when it comes to supporting the nurses, we start with what's the most important factor to you in that support. And so for some of our hospital systems, we've measured the number of steps that the robot has returned back to the clinical staff, how many miles the robot has traveled through the hospital that the nurses don't have to do. And so that use case and feedback has been refined as we've worked with our partners, but it absolutely is, you know, we'll sit down and we'll talk about the use case and the business case with the chief medical officer, with the chief nursing officer, and really talk about, you know, is it steps saved? Is it time saved? You know, and how can we measure that? And so we will also do measurements on how long it took that robot to do that task as compared to maybe a nurse or someone else that had to do it before. So we really do, you know, make the case of the return of the investment in terms of the human steps, the miles, the time saved in the long run.
And in the case of Bartley, we do provide our system to our business partners so that they can serve their customer with specialty coffee. In this case, the business partner will evaluate whether to hire a real human barista to operate those coffee machines or rent or lease our solution. So that their conclusion is that it's much easier just to outsource the coffee business, coffee serving business to our robots, because our robots not only has all the equipment, also it has all the skills of a real human barista. So that they do not need to hire and maintain barista, they do not need to train. So the savings not just on the coffee itself, it's also about how to manage the business, how to manage the coffee team.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think my answer is similar to Starr's. Our customers are the experts on what they spend on labor and the productivity of that, so we partner with them to really understand that well and really agree on what the targets are and what will be a compelling business case for them. I think in Outrider's case, the business case is pretty straightforward and clear cut. Yes, we calculate a payback period. It's relatively quick. But I also want to just point out that it's, I think as Haitao had mentioned before, not all about labor replacement, right? There's also working alongside. And so, there's an opportunity for staff on customer sites to get upskilled and basically help maintain the robot. There are opportunities for people to take jobs that are maybe more varied and require more skills, which can be an opportunity for folks.
Thank you. All right, last question.
I was going to ask if there's time for one more. So thanks, super interesting. In 2015, I was part of an innovation team that showed a robot to the CEO of one of the telcos when they visited in Israel. And it was very cool, and the robot, we fed it some pictures so it could identify the CEO as they walked through the door, and it greeted them. No edge computing, no 5G, so very basic. And actually, it's very disappointing that we're almost 9 years later, and I think the most exciting use case that I've seen outside a factory floor is in Barcelona in a restaurant, a robot bringing the foods on trays, assisting the waiter of, and you mentioned just now the human assistants. On the B2B, obviously, there's more ROI. Is the ROI what's blocking the more consumer-facing use cases, or is it technology? Is it fear of the technology? What is blocking the mass adoption to really see this everywhere?
Question. Let's see, Haitao, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so from our point of view, first I agree with you, kind of disappointed at this current stage. So for several, I think for several things, it's like the proof of concept and the mass product have so many different factors in the middle of it. So there are so many concepts that we try to show, try to prove is like 5 to 10 years ahead of market. And how people think to make a profit and also could put in the real production, that's a different story. Especially, so from my research when I was doing the 5G technologies, we always thinking like, okay, this is going to be the potential and the future of shows the potential in the future. But several technologies is on the stock and wait for market to be ready to adapt to this kind of solutions. So yeah, I think we all have to wait in the future and see how things goes.
I also think one barrier to entry, so my background is mostly purely software. And so in my career, I'm used to developing systems that self-heal, right? That can immediately, you can release the code, build infrastructure as code to make it highly available, self-healing, recovery easily. With a robot, that's very difficult to do, right? In the sense that you've got the hardware components. And so I do think that one of the barriers to entry is convincing, and I think Ira had mentioned it earlier, convincing of the need, right? That this is something that I need and is paramount, and it's going to make my life better, and it's here to do good in that way. And I do think that robotics has a way to go to that. I think the other reality too is when I talked about the hardware requirements, the maintenance, the upkeep, the capability. And as we make advances in 5G, in a robot's ability to have self-recovery, to have the types of high availability that we see some of our software systems have, utilizing cloud infrastructure, et cetera, better network connectivity, and overall, I think that we're, to your point, it's been 8 years, we're really starting to see more of those advances, but we still, unfortunately, have a ways to go.
I want to add that I think one major block for the adoption of robotics is that before, for each application, we have to design its own very specific robots. And the robots are not generalizable, and the model you train for one application cannot easily be applied to another robot. And each time you customize for a task, it is very costly. So that's very, I think, in my view, that's the main roadblocker. So I think the holy grail of robotics is a humanoid robot. It's just like in the form factor of a human that can think and behave like a human, and you teach the robot how to do what to do, and the robot will just do it. So. But I think there's a long way to go. At Outrider, we start with basic things like coffee, but when we teach the robot how to do coffee, we do it in a different way. Instead of pre-program each action, we actually teach the robot how to operate tools. And if we teach the robot how to use how to pick up a cup, how to measure the liquid level in a cup, how to pour liquid from a cup to the other, such basic skills is transferable to other tasks. So Outrider can easily adapt to a bartender robot. So I think in the future, the robot will be more generalizable. So with advance in large language models, such capability will be more and more popular. Yeah.
Thank you. Your target state vision was a bit scary from a sci-fi movie that they're all using.
It'll make hard eyes.
Yeah, there you go, hard eyes. Wonderful. All right, so with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap our session. So let's give a round of applause to our panelists. Also, special thanks to Haitao for the presentation.
Thank you.
And to our audience. Just, wow, incredible session, incredible wrap to this year. And so usually this is when I announce the next speaker series. I'm not ready to do that yet. I do promise we do plan to continue this incredible momentum, engagement in this ecosystem we've been building. We want to come back next year bigger and better, of course. We're still working on the details, so stay tuned. But we do plan to send out an email or survey early next week, so please watch for that. We do value your feedback on topics as we plan for next year.